Hey, what's up guys? So this video is going to be a little different. This is a knife from my personal collection. I don't sell this brand just because you have to reach out to them and buy directly through them as a dealer. Usually I buy directly through Blue Ridge Knives, which is the largest wholesaler in North America, as far as I'm aware. It's where pretty much all the major online retailers get their knives from, for the most part. But yeah, I don't carry these just because they're not available through that. So I would have to reach out and contact them, whatever. And I just haven't. It has nothing to do with me not liking them, and it sometimes it's just more beneficial for me to go through a wholesaler than it is for me to abide by MOQ for a lot of companies. Some companies have very, very low MOQ. Other companies have a very high MOQ. MOQ being minimum order quality or quantity. Sorry. So that being said, this is a knife for my personal collection. Just sat in the box in another room for the last probably 6 months. A lot of the knives I buy, I use. I always try and use all the knives I get, generally. Some knives I don't use. Some knives are limited runs or first run, and I just don't, I get them purely for the collectability of them, and I just like how they look. Other knives, I get them because I just happen to have the money, and they look cool, and that's that. So this is just one of those knives where it looked cool, and I had the money, and I figured, why not? It's not a wildly expensive knife. I just looked it up because I actually don't know what these retail for. This is a company called Klaken. They were founded in 2016, and at the beginning of their company's journey started with providing OEM and ODM services to numerous well-known brands. There are a lot of this brand is based out of China, Yajing, China, to be specific. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I apologize if I'm not. It's kind of the same as a lot of SRM and a lot of other Best Tech. Companies will start OEMing for other larger companies and then realize that their OEMing is really good. SRM being a key example. They started OEMing for other companies and then realized that their OEMing was really good, so they just decided to make SRM, which stands for Always Stay Ready. Or Stay Ready Always. I think I had that reversed. Anyway, I know you're probably just shut the fuck up and get to the knife already. I will, I promise. I know this is the annoying part of YouTube that I myself hate. So if you skip through the video, I don't blame you. There's one last thing I want to say. I'm going to put my Cash App link below. So if you guys, I make these videos for educational purposes and also to help the general public and the EDC community. But if you guys ever feel obligated to want to support me monetarily, obviously the channel isn't in a position right now where I can monetize the videos or anything. But if you'd like to contribute in that manner, I will leave my Cash App below. It pretty much goes to either buying knives or buying food. I'm just going to be as transparent as that. That's pretty much the gist of it. So yeah. Moving on from that. So this is the Klaken Noir J264. This is a Damascus button lock. I will say I really enjoy their packaging. I think something that I don't like about a lot of companies is I feel like a lot of companies neglect packaging. I'm not sure if it's necessarily they want to focus more on putting the quality into the knife itself, which I understand. So they're well, we'll just do the minimal packaging possible and go from there. But I really think that a lot of companies should focus more on packaging, because packaging and orientation is a huge part of the experience. I mean, think about it. It's like buying Pokemon cards, right? Or Magic cards. Half the fun is ripping packs, opening packs. And imagine if you just went to the store and got a pack and it was just clear. It was just clear plastic you just rip off and that's it. It's just not as fun, right? It's not the anticipation doesn't build, and there are quite a few brands out there who just have, I wouldn't say some have shitty packaging. I will be completely honest. I'm talking about you, QB. And others have fantastic packaging. So yeah, that's no hate towards QB's knives. I just want to put that out there. I just think that they have very lackluster packaging. It is so bare bones. It's like getting in like your friend's 97 Civic that's been completely gutted and caged because he takes it to the strip every, like, I don't know, random couple of months. I will say that getting this box open is a royal bitch, but we got it open. Okay, so inside the box you have this really nice knife pouch. I don't know if people have ever like I'm sure there's somebody on YouTube who's done reviews for Klaken, I'm sure, but for anybody who hasn't found those videos, or maybe the YouTubers haven't, I don't know. Their packaging is great. You know, you get a whole bunch of, you get a cleaning cloth in there. You get, you know, instructions, I guess. I don't really know I don't really know why you need instructions for a knife. It's pretty straightforward. And then you get this really badass case, which, I don't know. It's just, it's not, you know, that, it's not that normal, like, clamshell case, which I really dig. You know, it's something different, which I appreciate. I appreciate the fact that they were like, you know what, let's think outside the box, let's do something different. So, this is Damascus steel. Oh, this is such gorgeous Damascus, man. I can't believe this knife is $42. Look at this thing, man. Look at that Damascus. That is absolutely fucking stunning. Absolutely stunning. Now this is, now it doesn't say on the site, but this is core Damascus. Or, sorry. My guess is this is, it's, I don't know what the blade material is in the middle, because it's obviously, it's got a blade, it's got a core, so you can use this without actually messing up the Damascus or worrying about it rusting. I don't know what it's called. I went on their site to look it up because I'm very unfamiliar with it. Usually I'm pretty on top of stuff. Usually it's like VG10 Damascus. There's a VG10 core and then there's Damascus on the outer edges. I genuinely have no idea. There's no stamping on the blade, so, and like I said, I looked at their site, I looked at the model number. Let me pull it back up. Yeah, it just says that it's Damascus, so I have not the slightest clue. Maybe it'll say it further down? Question mark? Yeah, I don't see anything about it. Huh. Yeah, okay, anyway. So, take that for what it's worth. You have, a metal core with Damascus layered in between. So, it's not like a normal Damascus blade where you'd have to worry about fucking it up, which I think is really cool. A lot of people don't like buying Damascus because it's tends to be high maintenance. Although companies do a pretty good job of making sure that it's not as bad as, you know, it normally people make it out to be. What I'm trying to say is, a lot of people are like, Damascus is such like a high upkeep, you have to oil it all the time. Like, yeah, you're not wrong, but like realistically, for a lot of knives on the market, a lot of the blade steel, you have to take care of it. Like, you kind of just have to take care of your knife. Unless you have a knife that is stainless steel, then, you know, it is what it is. That's just the nature of having a knife. Yeah. Like, I don't know what else I'm supposed to tell you in that regard. I know a lot of people just steer away from Damascus for that reason. I am a huge fan of Damascus, but I also own very little Damascus now because I also do not like the upkeep. But I will say that if you get a knife with a steel core of some sort, and then you have Damascus on the outer edges, I think that is a much more appropriate approach, and a little less upkeep. That's just my opinion. Usually it's like VG10 and then Damascus on the outside. I don't know what it is, so it doesn't say on the site. So yeah. Anyway, these are G10 carbon fiber scales according to their site. They feel more carbon fiber than they do G10, but it's probably just a mixture composite, if I had to guess. Let's see here. This is the first time I'm really looking at the knife because I was like, let's like review something I own that's mine that I've only taken out of the box once. I think I took this out of the box once. Yeah, I think it's I don't know. I think it's just carbon fiber. Honestly, this just looks. It could be both, honestly, but it looks more carbon fiber than it does G10. The opening action really snappy. I'm gonna say this right now. For $42, I'm probably not really gonna give this knife a lot of shit. This is a really fucking nice knife. No favoritism, but for $42, this knife should be like easily like 90 to 110. Easily. I would say 90. 110 on the high end. I think really right now my only complaint is getting the blade to rotate fully through the pivot out of lock once you press the button isn't the smoothest. See, it just kind of I'm not a huge fan of that. I've noticed quite a few button locks have this issue. Some don't, some do. But other than that, it's really snappy. You know, it's... So you just hold the button. I think it has... Let's see. It's got to be on bearings, right? Let's see. Is it on bearings? Yeah, it's on cage bearings. You can see the copper right there in between the blade and the liner. So it's on cage bearings. It probably might just need some oil, or I could just loosen the pivot ever so slightly. So I'm gonna say if I loosen the pivot, it'll probably be butter. So, but we're gonna leave that right there. We'll just leave that as a negative for the time being, right? Because I want to make sure that the review always has positives and negatives. I never want to have a bias. As far as ergonomics, it's got jimping. It doesn't have a lot of jimping, but the jimping is incredibly aggressive. So I appreciate that. You could choke up if you wanted to. Yeah, I mean, you could choke up. It would be kind of... It's like, you know, a 1 out of 10 on the comfortable scale, 10 being awful. I would say it's like a 5 or a 6. It's not the most comfortable in the world, but it's also not terrible. I don't know. I think just using the knife like this would be better. So I would say the ergos on the scales, these like inset millings, these are really nice. It feels nice in the hand. It feels very comfortable. I have a big hand, and the knife is probably, I want to say 7.5, 8 inches fully deployed. So yeah, like no issues there as far as comfort. Let's see, blade centering. It looks centered. It looks just about centered. The light and darks are also kind of playing a trick on me, so there's a possibility that might be more to one side than the other. Might be more to the left than the right. Let me not look through the camera. Give me 1 second. Now it's centered. Now looking through the camera, yeah, the blade's centered. So that's great. It does have a non-reversible pocket clip. I take that back. It's got a non-reversible pocket clip. I will say the pocket clip is kind of lacking. It's a very basic pocket clip. Granted, it is a $42 knife, so we're just gonna let that slide, I guess. They could have done a like a minimalist like bar clip or like paper clip, pocket clip. I don't even know. I don't know what they're called. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's where do I have my Spyderco on my desk? Let's see. I have so many knives on my desk. Oh, here we go. I do. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Something like this. I think something like this would have been nice. I don't really like that. It's just a little too basic. I feel like for the effort that they went to make this knife look the way it does, you know, as aesthetically pleasing as it is, they kind of put like a basic bitch pocket clip on it. They certainly could have done something more to this style of pocket clip, but not my company, so there's that. I will say that I do like this like in milling they did for the pocket clip to sit, so the pocket clip isn't protruding out where it screws to the scales. I do like that a lot. That's a very nice touch. It's also got a lanyard hole. The fit and finish is, you know, honestly really nice for a $42 knife. Really, really, really nice. Again, my biggest complaint is it just doesn't, like, you really gotta. Alright, let's reverse flick is good. That's rough to. I would say the button does a good job of locking the blade and catching it. I will say the detent on the blade itself for reverse flicking is borders on uncomfortable. Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like just excruciating. I would say probably like a 4 or a 5. I would say a 5. I think the sweet spot's like a 3. And this is like, I would say this is a 5. All in all, a nice knife for $42. You're getting a lot for, you know, this is what some companies would offer for, you know, $80 to $110. Especially this Damascus. I think this Damascus is the biggest standpoint, just the general standout to the whole cause, besides the carbon fiber scales. I think that's just, like, the Damascus is just gorgeous. They did a great job on that. Obviously dual thumb studs. Thumb studs are, you know, the generic normal thumb studs. No jimping on the flipper. The flipper, it's got some play to it. You know, I never did look. See if it's got some blade play. It does have some blade play. It's got some left and right blade play. Does it have up and down blade play? No up and down blade play. Just some like left and right blade play. Could probably tighten the. Interesting. Very interesting. I was not expecting that. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see this. Shit. It's just ever so slight, but I can feel it. I don't know, let's see. Can you guys see it shift in the light? No, not really. Oh, now you can. There you go. You guys see that? There's a little bit of blade play. Do you see the this light on this sledge shift a little bit? It's it could probably, I mean, the pivot could probably be tightened. All knives are hand assembled. Some knives get over tightened, some knives get under tightened. I can't tell you how many knives I've had where they're so over tightened they don't even deploy. It's probably been like at least 5, and you usually have to. I think this is the first one that I've ever gotten that has like genuine blade play. Let's see, can you see this? I'm trying my best to hold it still. Here, let me do it this way without cutting myself. There we go. You see that? So that's interesting. If I, like I said, if I tighten the pivot, that might not be so bad. I would say that's kind of a, I don't know. That's kind of the big. That's a big question mark. I'm wondering if tightening the pivot would clear that up. I have a feeling it would, but also tightening the pivot up would probably ruin the pivot rotation on the blade. So it could be a catch-22. And I don't have anything. I don't have any. I don't have a screwdriver next to me to fix this. So. Interesting. All in all, really nice knife. Obviously, some negatives. The positives. Really nice scale material. It's a button lock. You know, who doesn't like button locks? I will say that I think button lock top liners are superior. Even to like access locks. I think button lock top liners are just better. In my mind, it goes, you know, frame lock, liner lock, button lock, liner lock, or button lock, top liner, and then you have access lock, and then button lock, just normal button lock. You're probably wondering why access lock? Why is access lock third? Well, if you think about it, access locks are great. The problem being is a lot of companies suck at making them, and I mean that in the most endearing way possible. Okay, we're all bad at things. I'm bad at two-handed sports, as you can tell. But you know, it is what it is. That was maybe more of a dig than it should have been. But I don't know. There are a lot of companies that just suck at making access locks. Right now. There are probably 3 companies that come to mind that are good at making access locks, and that would be Kaiser, SRM, and Kershaw. Probably some of the best access locks on the market. I can't say anything about like Concept. I can't say anything about like ZT, like Zero Tolerance. CJRB has some good access locks, but they also have some shit access locks. So it's kind of like hit or miss, you know, with them. But yeah, so like not only does the access lock action not feel great on a lot of knives, a lot of knife companies who do access locks, they honestly just kind of feel like trash. Also, Omega Springs, man. Omega Springs fucking suck. They're just terrible. So if you have to like ever service your knife, like Omega Springs can break. Or if you don't like so for anybody who doesn't know, all right, Omega Springs on an access lock. Let's see, do I have an access lock next to me? I'm sure I do. I do. Of course I do. All right. So this is a Kershaw. I love this knife so fucking much, man. So good. Oh, so buttery smooth. Okay, anyway, this is sorry. This is a Kershaw Bel Air with aluminum scales, magna cut blade steel. This is an access lock. I don't know if you can see, like right there, you can see ever so slightly, you can see the start of the Omega spring, like coming off the back of the access pin. So the omega spring is like a giant question mark. So it goes around this, down, over, and then it hinges to an inner liner. That's this inner liner. And usually you can adjust the inner liner, or not the inner liner, sorry, the omega spring. So you can either make it softer or you can make it lighter, or heavier, sorry. So you can basically adjust the action on it. But the problem being is sometimes they break, or sometimes you break them if you have to maintenance your knife, or if you want to change the knife scales on your knife. Sometimes sometimes certain knives, depending on what they are, if they're higher end knives, they have the way they're built or constructed. They have basically like two sets of liners. So they have the scales, a liner, and then another set of liners that has the omega system, that the omega system is screwed to for like the entire pivot system of the knife. A great example of this would be the Kaiser Tycho. Kaiser Tycho is exactly like this. That knife is a absolute fucking nightmare to take apart and to deal with. But so it's just a mess. I know a lot of people love access locks. They are strong. They're certainly stronger and better than button locks by any stretch of the imagination. But they're not better than a frame lock. They're not better than a liner lock. And they're certainly not better than a top liner button lock by any stretch of the imagination. I would honestly put a top liner button locks are probably like, I would say first place right now as far as like what people like, what's out there in the market. I mean, obviously you're always going to have this big group of people who really enjoy access locks, which, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. But access locks are a fucking nightmare, and so few companies do them correctly, in my opinion. Granted, I'm just some random guy on YouTube with 800 subs, but that's just... I want my knives to feel a certain way. I want the action to feel a certain way. I like fidgeting with my knives, and when your access lock feels like I have to like press a button, I have to like, you know, pull a button that feels like it's been rusted shut for 10 years, or should I pull an access part that feels like it's been rusted shut for 10 years to save my life, just to use your knife, it just makes me not want to use it. Makes me not want to buy it. So, yeah. Small rant over. So, that's that whole thing. That's why I don't like access locks. So few companies do them correctly, or so few companies do them in a way that just feels organically smooth and comfortable. So, yeah. Button locks aren't great either. Traditional button locks aren't great either because there's such a minimum amount of contact patch from the button to the tang of the blade. So if you do anything really abusive to these knives, you basically will knock the knife out of deployment, and it'll close on your fingers. Could cause, you could hurt yourself, or even worse, sever fingers, and you don't want to do that. Usually folding knives are left up to like light duty work or medium duty work. If you're ever gonna do anything like heavy task wise, you usually want to use something that's a little more, it's more engineered to handle that. I'd say frame locks are probably your best bet in that regard. Frame locks or top liner button locks, or just go with a fixed blade. At the end of the day, if you're gonna do some really ignorant shit, just use a fixed blade. But if you want to use a folder, I think frame locks are probably like your best bet. I'm sure people will disagree with me. That's completely fine. We're all here to have a conversation. We're all here to share our opinions. It is what it is. But yeah, so for $40, you get this. I think that's pretty stellar deal. Obviously, it does have some caveats, but I think a lot of those could be overlooked. Maybe minus the blade play. The blade play is a little concerning, but I don't know. Most people who get knives, like let's be honest with ourselves. Most people who get knives aren't using their knife for more than like opening boxes, cutting cardboard, and maybe a zip tie or tape, you know. So few people are taking these knives out and like cutting up tire or like slicing PVC pipe or some just obnoxious ass shit. So yeah, that's that. It's like it's the realistic standard of like, okay, well, that's a little concerning, but also you're not going to be taking this knife to war, and you're not going to be fighting 100 fucking people with like adamantium armor, and you need to make sure that this blade doesn't wiggle. Otherwise, if the blade wiggles, it's going to bend when you go to pierce their armor and XYZ. So yeah. Anyway, rant over. Yeah, $42 knife, Klaken, great company. I do have another one of their knives. It's much more expensive. I think it's like $130, $150 range. It is fantastic. I honestly think that their fit and finish, their build quality is pretty stellar, and you can't really argue for like, you know, for what you're getting. I can't. I think this is a great knife. I think if this knife isn't your cup of tea, which is fair, there's nothing wrong with that. I think if anything, you should check out this company, because Klaken makes some really awesome products, especially for the pricing. You know, Klaken's kind of in the same boat as Dreamtech. I would that's my viewpoint, and I think that they deserve more eyes just for what they put out. I also wish that their knives were actually named. Well, this knife is named. It's named the Noir. Are there other knives named? Let's see. Yeah, okay, so they name their knives. Okay, so a lot of companies just don't name their knives, and that drives me fucking nuts. They name it like the JR16Q51, and I'm like, fucking... okay, I gotta remember the serial numbers of these fucking knives. So, yeah. But that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. I hope I taught you something or learned something or at least entertained you for 30 minutes if you made it this far in the video. And again, like I said, if you want to support me monetarily, I'll leave the link to my Cash App below. I appreciate any and all donations or no donations or tips. We'll call them tips. I appreciate any and all tips or no tips, whichever you choose, however you choose to support. But if you do tip, just know that it's going to food and buying knives. So, and keeping my small business running while giving you guys content. So, yeah. I'll probably do the next review will be on the other Klaken, because I'd really like to, you know, show you guys what this brand offers outside of, you know, this is their more budget-oriented knife. I want to show you something that's a little more expensive. Plus, I honestly just want to pull the knife out of the package because I haven't seen it in months. It's just sitting in my box of knives in another room. So, yeah. Alrighty. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. I hope you guys have a safe day, safe week. This video will be going up on Friday, so 4/3/2026. And yeah, be sure to stay hydrated, eat some good food, and be kind to yourself. Have a good one, dudes.